Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Wes here. Thanks for tuning in. If you're looking to step up your game, definitely check out these Lumastep M1 running boards by Boost Auto Parts. Just got these in the mail. They're super awesome. They're made out of the 6000 series aerospace aluminum, so they're super light. Everything's ready to go. They've got everything hardwired in, and the light is built in. So basically, what I've got here is a running light and a blinker configuration. And on their website, all you have to do is pick your cab size and then pick your light functions. So they have all kinds of different options there. They have the startup sequence, which I also did. The rock lights, if you want to have that. You'll pick your headlight type, and then you also want to see if you want to have the step pads. So I didn't elect to have those, but you can get these in any of the three colors or configurations. But these things are super awesome. They're very light, and I'm just going to size it up here to the ones that we're going to be taking off just to kind of give you an idea. And these running boards come with everything that you need to get it installed. That's going to include the passenger and driver side harnesses, all the step brackets. These things are super heavy duty, really impressed with those. And then you've got these little plastic covers that'll go over the bracket. They'll make them look just a little bit thicker and also protect them. Our first order of business is going to be to remove the OEM running boards. And there's going to be a couple of 10mm bolts that are holding the actual running board onto the bracket. So we'll remove those first. And there's going to be a couple of more brackets down the line. And if you're lucky like me, you'll also have your little friend here, Chewy, to help with this install. So if I need any tools, he'll just hand those over to me. With that being said, I went ahead and just attached mine to a drill. You could use a ratchet, no problem. But just go ahead and get those bolts off of the bracket. That way you can lift your running board out of the way and just set it aside because you might want to use it later, or it's also going to have some good resale value. Then we're going to wheel up under here, and then these bolts are going to be 1/2 inches. There's 3 of those total on this 2023 F150, and I just opted for the ratchet for this because it made it easier to get to them. The space is a little bit tight, and so just pull those off. Once you get them loose, you can hand loosen them and then remove that bracket. And then here it is out of the way. You're going to have 3 of those on each side. So we'll go ahead and get the other 2 removed, and then we've got our OEM running board out of the way, and we're ready to move on to the next step. So now we're simply going to take these supplied step brackets and then put them in place where the OEM ones were that we just removed. So it's really easy. They just hook right into place, and they came with hardware, but I went ahead and just used the factory hardware that I had with it and kept the other one. So we'll get these installed, and we're going to do this on both sides. So we'll have 3 step brackets on each side, and then we're ready to move on to the plastic covers. This step is really easy. You just slip them over, line up the holes, and you'll take the supplied screws and push them into the bracket. That's going to hold it in place. And then you're actually supposed to come back with a rubber mallet to punch it through there. I didn't have a rubber mallet, so what I did was just use an actual framing hammer. I'll just hold the bracket on one side and then hit it. And it actually turned out really well. So I went ahead and did this across all the brackets. So you'll have 6 total that you'll need to complete. And then we'll go ahead and get everything started as far as getting the running board mounted. So luckily Boost Auto Parts did some good forward thinking on this and made this step super simple. They've got some slots on the bottom of each running board, and you'll just take these supplied screws and insert them through that slot. And then once you've got 3 on each side, you'll just kind of roughly slide them down the rail to where the steps are going to be located on your truck. So this really is super easy. You'll just kind of get it laid onto the brackets because they're going to hold it up, and then you'll come in from underneath and just slide those screws to where they fit into the step bracket, and then you're ready to move on to getting them tightened into place. But once you get the bolts lined into the bracket, go ahead and slide the step back or forth on the vehicle to make sure you've got it lined up exactly where you want, and look at it on the back. Make sure that's where you want it. Chewy even had to take a second to admire this awesome running board. He thinks it's pretty cool. But then once you're ready and you're satisfied with the position, just come up underneath with your 10mm socket and get it tightened in with the supplied hardware. You're going to be using a washer, a lock washer, and then the 10mm nut. Now we're ready for wiring. We've got our driver and passenger side harnesses. The passenger harness is the one that's got the battery terminal connections on it. And we also have our hardwire adapters. They're going to tap into the headlights for the power. And here's a quick overview of that hardwire adapter. We're going to be using everything on mine except for the rock light. And the first thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and disconnect the negative battery terminal on the truck. That way when we start messing with the electricity, we don't have any issues. So I'm on the driver's side, and I've already got this part kind of wired down through here. I'm just going to reach it down towards the wheel well of the truck. You can see it down here. And all I'm really going to do is reach into the inner fender of the wheel well and then pull that through. Just make sure that you're keeping it away from any moving parts or heat. I'm going to push it right over this metal cross member, and once I get it over that, I'll tuck it in behind this flap out of the way, and that's going to make it to where I can actually just pull it straight down from the bottom. Everything will just pop right out here, and then I can just come up from underneath and easily make my connections. And there's 2 different adapters on this. There's two different sizes, so you can't put them in the wrong place, but just get those hooked in securely, and then you're good to go on the driver's side. Now you can run this wire behind the step bracket if you like, or you can just leave it like it is. I really don't mind the look, so for now I'm just going to leave that, but I've got it ran over here and zip tied to the main wiring harness. And now, just to kind of give you an idea, here's the other side of that harness. It's going to go to the driver's headlight, and we're going to access that from the inner fender. It's going to run down through here, and there's going to be a white adapter on the end. It's going to connect to the white adapter on the passenger side wiring harness, so we can go ahead and get that hooked in if you like. And the passenger harness is going to have the battery terminals for the positive and negative. And then on the passenger side, we're going to do the same thing as on the driver, where we're going to fish this down and come into it from the inner fender, which that's going to be our next step, is to show you how to remove this. There's a couple of bolts here that we're going to remove to gain access to that headlight. And the easiest thing to do is just to take a 7mm socket and remove two of the screws that are holding this plastic liner in place. And there's also this little plastic screw on the back that you can reach back to remove, and that's going to make the inner fender well move more freely. With those connections out of the way, you can now move the fender liner back and get in here to see the actual headlight adapter that we're going to be removing. It's just got a quick release tab that you'll reach in to unplug it from the headlight assembly. And next we're going to have our passenger side harness. We'll fish it down into that same fender well liner. That way we can just go ahead and make all of our connections. So we've got the passenger side harness here, and we've got our hardwire adapter with a rock light that we're going to tape out of the way since I'm not using that. And then we're going to get everything hooked into our headlight adapter. So next we're going to attach the hardwire adapter to pins 2 and 3 on the headlight assembly. We're just going to be using running light and turn signal. So they do have supplied T-tap connections. So we're going to go ahead and connect it to the yellow wire here, and then the blue, that's sections 2 and 3 on the headlight adapter. And you'll just wrap those T-taps around it, and then make sure you've got a nice snug fit around it. I suggest using a pair of pliers just to make sure that the connection is solid. And now all is left to do is to make the connections. We're going to take the red wire and connect it to the yellow. That's tab 3 on the headlight adapter. And then we're going to take our blue wire and connect it to the blue, and that's going to be the wire 2 on the headlight adapter. So now we're tapped into the headlights, and then we're just going to connect this end of the harness to the passenger side harness that we fished through the inner fender well. And so we've got that connection made, and now all we have to do is tuck this back in and get it plugged back into the headlight adapter, and we're good to go on this side. And as an alternative, I accessed the driver's side the same way through the inner fender well to unplug it, but I actually ran it through the top just because I found it was going to be easier to work on standing up. But we're going to make our same connections here on pins 2 and 3 on the headlight adapter, connect it to the driver's side harness, and then we'll fish this end back down where we just came from, and then connect that back into the main headlights for the driver's side. And with that plugged in, everything's connected. The battery has been also reconnected, so we have power. We're going to test this out, and we have power. I'll be honest, I was a little surprised at myself. I thought maybe I was going to have to go back and troubleshoot a little bit, but this looks awesome. We also have the matching tow mirror lights that I have in a previous video, but these M1 running boards are super cool looking. I definitely think it's a great addition to the truck. I thought it might be just a little bit too much for it, but I think it matches up well. They put off some great light. Again, I have the startup sequence on this one. That's an optional feature, and that makes the lights dance a little bit upon unlocking the truck or during the initial startup. So I think it's a super cool thing. People seem to like it a lot. And again, this is running lights and turn signal only on my setup, and it all lines up perfectly with the Boost Auto tow mirrors. But again, I'm really glad that I got this installed on the truck. The steps work great as actual steps. They look awesome going down the road. People like to check them out. They ask questions about it. It just really matches the truck really well. Again, you can get these in white, you can get these in amber, and all kinds of different sequences. They look really good during the day or the night. It almost looks like you have some sort of like underbody lights on them. They put off a nice glow, and I think it's also a nice added safety benefit, because if you're going down the highway and you've got your blinkers on, people see it, they definitely know which way you're going. So I think that's really cool. But if you have any questions or comments about this install or the lights themselves, definitely feel free to drop those in the comments below. I've had these running boards on for a couple of months now, so I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. But in the meanwhile, I really appreciate you for tuning into the video. I hope you'll give it a like and consider subscribing, and I can't wait to see you on the next one. All right, peace.